Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today, we pay special tribute to Master Sergeant Robert A. Johnson III on the occasion of his retirement from the United States Air Force. We're honored to have with us as our presiding official for today's ceremony, Second Lieutenant Marinati Martin, Section Commander, 3rd Intelligence Squadron, Fort Gordon, Georgia. Sharing the special occasion today are many family, friends, and special guests. We are extremely honored to have in attendance Master Sergeant Johnson's family, his wife, Rainey, and his children, Tamara, Alonzo, and Sage. Master Sergeant Johnson would also like to welcome our special guest, Colonel Gregory Lewis, Deputy Director of Operations, 823610, Air National Guard Readiness Center. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the entrance of the official party and remain standing for the playing of the national anthem, followed by the invocation given by Senior Master Sergeant Anthony D. Tucker.
Our Father in heaven, today we come to you with hearts and tongues of thanks. We thank you, Heavenly Father, for all the gifts you give us each day, family and loved ones, friends and associates, grace and mercy, life and liberty. Lord, help us always to receive these gifts with thanksgiving, and may our hearts and minds always be in remembrance of your goodness. Today is a special day, a day of honor, a day of celebration, a day of recognition, a day of hard work rewarded, a day of a dream brought to reality. Today we're here to celebrate this momentous event of the retirement of Master Sergeant Robert Johnson. And Robert, Rainey, and the family look ahead at what is next along their journey. I pray that you will provide in your favor. I pray that they will remain in one accord, and that they will continue to trust, lean, and rely on one another as they have throughout their military careers. As Robert transitions to the civilian sector, I pray that all his strategies, his decisions begin, continue, and end in your will. Grant him the wisdom that comes through the synergy of faith and works. May he continue on being a trusted servant for you in this world. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Thank you, Senior Master Sergeant Tucker. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. It is now my distinct pleasure to introduce to you the presiding official for today's ceremony, Second Lieutenant Martin.
Thank you, Senior, for the benediction. Thank you, Chief and Senior, for putting this together. Thank you, everybody watching online and those in attendance as we sit here and celebrate this memorable occasion for the Johnson family. To Rainey, his wife, to his children, Tamara, Alonzo, and Sage, Thank you guys for sharing your dad and husband with us. Military families play an integral part in us being able to do the mission every day, and without you guys, we wouldn't be able to do it. So thank you for your sacrifice over the years. To Master Sergeant Robert Johnson, my mentor and friend, thank you for this opportunity and this privilege to preside over your retirement ceremony today and celebrate 24 years of service. I met Master Sergeant Robert Johnson as a senior airman Johnson, aka DJ, when I arrived at my first duty station at Robins Air Force Base in 2001. I remember being nervous about my first day of work and walking into the Bay Area not knowing what to expect. As soon as I turned the corner, there was BJ with his partner in crime, Amir West. BJ started talking to me for a little while, asked me where I was from. And little did I know that me just answering where I was from would lead to the jokes that I've endured for the last 20 years. BJ had everyone thinking that I used to be a backup dancer for the Atlanta-based R&B group called 112. He would illustrate a dance and everything. So much so that random people would come up to me as I walked around base and ask me if I was a backup dancer for 112. Throughout his life, Robert has been able to influence people and has had the desire to help others. His mom described how helpful he was growing up, and that he would do things like going to get groceries for the family and take care of his younger brother and cousin. His brother Daryl talked about him setting the example and his competitive nature. Daryl described this as his way as he talked about how Robert used to run up the score on him as they played the NBA Jam as kids. Daryl correlated the lesson that BJ was giving him as trying to make him a better person and always striving to do better. His helpful attitude, competitive nature, and desire to better others helped to make him successful throughout his Air Force career. After completing basic training in 1997, Robert went on to his technical training school at Keystone Air Force Base to get trained on becoming a ground radio maintainer. He finished his training, but more importantly, he met someone that would have a lasting impact on his life, A1C Rainey Harris. Robert thought he would be smooth and asked one of her friends about her, but Rainey was an earshot and interceded and let him know that she had a mouth and she could talk for herself. Brooklyn swag. He then tried to impress her with his dance moves at the club on base, but word on the street is that he had not yet perfected that infamous 112 move he was teaching in the field. Upon graduating technical school, Robert was assigned to the 54th Combat Communications Squadron at Robins Air Force Base. He immediately hit the ground running by getting himself trained on the mobile air traffic control tower and then trained 3 other individuals in the shop. One of his trainees at the time, Airman Michael Sanders, known as TS, stated that BJ was one of the best trainers he ever had, that he made training fun while also stressing the importance of following technical manuals. One of the incidents that stood out to TS, still today, was when he was in the work shed performing an alignment on the radio, and BJ called him into the office. Little did TS know that BJ and his partner in crime, Amir, would strike again. They took a glow stick, broke it, and poured all the content around the radio that TS had been working on. BJ then walked TS back to the shed, opened the door, and screamed, "Oh my God, it's radioactive. Everybody get out of here. I don't know what happened." I don't know what the lesson was that day. Maybe it was to secure your equipment or just stay on your toes whenever you're around BJ. But I do know that to this day, TS kids cannot play with us. Also, while stationed around these Air Force Base, BJ ended up deploying 5 times. While deployed, his technical expertise shined. He troubleshot and helped resolve several issues that had been plaguing radio sites and trained individuals from all over the world. I had the privilege of being on one of these deployments with him, and BJ was a workhorse. He stayed motivated, kept us motivated, started a Bible study group, and just looked out for the team. Unfortunately, all these positive qualities did not translate over to his barbering skills. We set up our own barber shop in the tent out there, and I decided to be the first one to let BJ cut my hair. And as you guys can see, 18 years later, my hair still has not grown back. 2 of the biggest highlights from this time that had Robins was that BJ dedicated his life to the Lord, and he capitalized on Rainey's advice. And not only did he talk directly to her, they became husband and wife. The Johnson family was then stationed together at McGuire Air Force Base Military. In true BJ fashion, he quickly hit the ground running. He was able to identify faults in their global position system, which led to much needed antenna repairs. He revamped his work center's training program, ensuring that new airmen were trained upon arrival and decreased the time from training by 50%. It was also here that his career field emerged into airfield systems. And Robert demonstrated his drive to excel by actively seeking out ways for him and his team to train on new equipment. His leadership was so impressed with everything that he did. They put him in charge of a 10 airman shop as a staff sergeant, a spot that was reserved for a master sergeant. One of his old supervisors, Master Sergeant Brooks, raved about how awesome it was having BJ in the works and the leadership that he provided to all the members there. He laughed while talking about BJ's signature move. He said that there was a thing that BJ used to do where he would pull you, regardless of your rank, to the side and say, hey, there's something I'd like to show. This normally meant that you were messing up and he was about to correct you. After several years in McGuire, the Johnsons decided that New Jersey was not far enough north for them and that it did not get cold enough. So they took their talents to Elmendorf Air Force Base Live School. While at Elmendorf, BJ was put in charge of the Maintenance Operations Center and Quality Assurance. As the non-commissioned officer in charge of Maintenance Operations Center, Robert directed maintenance operations for 8 work centers, ensuring the closure of 525 equipment. As the NCRC of Quality Assurance, he managed $8.7 million worth of airfield system equipment at 18 remote sites. One of his former supervisors stated that he wished that he could have a Robert in every shop. He was a technical expert that stayed up to date on regulations and also cared for the people. He loved that Robert would not only hold his airmen accountable, but also everyone throughout the chain. He recalled being in meetings and Robert would directly let people higher up know, that's your job, not ours. Or you said you have that done 6 months ago. His supervisor respected that Robert did not tiptoe around when it came to holding everyone accountable and strive to be example. Robert accomplished a lot with his work center in Walnut, Alaska, but I think the biggest highlights for him and Randy while up north were welcoming Tamara and Alonzo to the Johnson family. After having fun in the snow, the next adventure of the Johnson family will bring them here to Andrews Air Force Base in Maryland. While stationed here at Andrews, Robert was able to work in the Communications Squadron, Operations Squadron, and the Air National Guard. As usual, no matter what squadron he was assigned to, Robert was ready to help improve processes. His leadership ability was instrumental in moving his team from the Communications Squadron to the Operations Squadron. Once in the Operations Squadron, Robert would take on undershirt duties where he served 250 airmen and family. He was so good at taking care of others that to this day, he is still sometimes mistaken as his first sergeant. Another highlight from his time here at Andrews was Robert helping to co-found the Think Tank initiative. You can tell Robert's passion for the Think Tank by his excitement whenever he talks about this one. One of his peers talked about a big change that Robert was able to help initiate. Just by walking around and talking to people, Robert discovered that there were not enough parking spots for expecting others. With the help of his Think Tank group, they were able to get front row parking for expecting members. Speaking of expecting members, the Johnson family had the joy of welcoming Sage to their dream team while being assigned here at Andrews. Robert has had a tremendous Air Force career. He's done so much for other people in the Air Force that there would not be enough time for me to highlight all of it here today. His Air Force legacy will live on through the people that he has influenced. I've heard him say on 2 occasions that if he could sum himself up in 3 phrases, it would be that he loves God, he loves his family, and he loves people. He loves God. At every location Robert was at, he would find some kind of way to get involved with the church. Whether it was the deacon leading Bible studies or assisting in other ministries. He was fulfilled in serving. He loved his family. He always speaks highly of his immediate and extended family. His children loved how he would attend their school events and that he would FaceTime with them whenever he was team involved. And bring them back gifts. They also enjoyed that he took them traveling to places like Hawaii. And I got a little inside scoop that they would not mind going back to Hawaii. And he continuously speaks life into his wife, and they encourage each other and help each other grow. He loves people. His whole leadership style is about loving people. His love for people was shown in his simple gesture of him getting out from behind his desk and walking around and talking. He had always stayed actively involved in his training of his troops. He tried to help his troops and supervisors stay accountable. And while being their #1 advocate, at the same time, regardless of who that opposition was against. Robert, thank you for your time to deliberately have a positive impact on people. Even those times when you pull people to the side, myself included, and said, hey, there's something I'd like to share with you. In closing, there's an excerpt I'd like to share from a new author about ripple effects. It reads, Ripple effects is defined as a situation in which one event causes a series of other events to happen. Decisions we make can have the same effect, whether it is negative or positive. Whatever decision we make, we must understand our decisions will not just affect us alone. Written by author Robert Johnson III. Robert, thank you for understanding that your decisions affected others. Thank you, Johnson family, for your service to the United States Air Force and the lasting impact you've made. I know you all will continue making positive ripples in the next chapter of your lives.
Thank you, Lieutenant Martin. Will Master Sergeant Johnson please come forward to join Lieutenant Martin for the presentation of the Meritorious Service Medal. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand. Attention to orders. Citation to accompany the award of the Meritorious Service Medal, 2nd Oak Leaf Cluster. Master Sergeant Robert A. Johnson III distinguished himself in the performance of outstanding service to the United States while assigned to the Airfield Operations Air Traffic Systems Branch, National Guard Readiness Center, Joint Base Andrews, Maryland. During this period, Sergeant Johnson drove a benchmark unit type code working group involving 3 major commands, correcting 10 logistical deficiencies, saving 12 units over 5 hours of deployment preparation time. A masterful collaboration, he devised joint training partnership incorporating 492 upgrade tasks performed over 90 days, ensuring radar, airfield, and weather systems airmen were deployment ready. Furthermore, he secured finding and revamping maintenance support for 4 mobile systems, decreasing downtime by 98%. Additionally, he received the Air National Guard Readiness Center Virtual Suggestion Program, processing 49 proposals, including one that added expecting mother parking for its 900-person workforce. Moreover, Sergeant Johnson facilitated a request for a barbershop, saving more than $1,100 for National Guard Bureau personnel. A lead Green Dot coordinator, Sergeant Johnson was successful in increasing the number of training days from 11 to 36, a 66% increase, ensuring an 100% course completion rate. Finally, he spearheaded a COVID-19 training mitigation plan for several urgent deploying units, preventing community spread for 13 members. The distinctive accomplishments of Master Sergeant Johnson culminate a distinguished career in the service of his country and reflect great credit upon himself and the United States Air Force. Lieutenant Martin will now direct the publishing of the retirement order. Attention to orders. Special order number AC 016518 dated 18 June 2021. Robert A. Johnson III, Joint Base Andrews, Maryland, effective 31 May 2021. You are relieved from active duty, organization and station of assignment, retired, effective 1 June 2021 for AFI 36-3203 and the grade of Master Sergeant by order of the Secretary of the Air Force. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. At this time, Master Sergeant Johnson will now be presented with the certificate of retirement from the Chief of Staff of the United States Air Force and the Commander, Air National Guard Readiness Center. It reads, Certificate of Retirement from the Armed Forces of the United States of America. To all who shall see these presents, greetings. This is to certify that Master Sergeant Robert A. Johnson III, serving faithfully and honorably, was retired from the United States Air Force on the 1st day of June, 2021. Signed, General Charles Q. Brown, Chief of Staff, United States Air Force, and Brigadier General Michael T. Giroux, Commander, Air National Guard Readiness Center. Johnson, we are also pleased to present with you a Presidential Certificate of Appreciation, which reads, Dear Robert, thank you for your service to the United States Armed Forces. I am proud to have served as your Commander-in-Chief, and I am pleased to join you and your family, friends, and colleagues in recognizing your career and accomplishments. Throughout history, the dedicated men and women of the military have protected our citizens and preserved the ideals that make our country strong. Their courage and sacrifice have inspired countless people and have helped shape America's character. On behalf of a grateful nation, I thank you for your contributions to our security and to the cause of peace and freedom. Your service, patriotism, and selfless devotion have helped advance the universal hope of liberty at home and around the world. Laura and I send our best wishes of health and happiness in the years ahead. May God bless you, and may God continue to bless America. Sincerely, George W. Bush. Master Sergeant Johnson, we would also like to present you the Certificate of Appreciation from the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force. It reads, I am proud to join your friends and family in congratulating you on your retirement from the United States Air Force. Master Sergeant Robert A. Johnson III, the achievements and contributions you have made throughout your career are indicative of the core values of our great service. Your retirement is well deserved, but your selfless contributions will surely be missed. On behalf of all airmen, thank you for your faithful and devoted service to our nation. As this chapter in your life closes and a new one begins, I hope the years ahead are filled with more great memories and continued success. Signed, Joanne S. Bass, Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force. At this time, we would like to invite Mrs. Johnson to please come forward for the retirement pin presentation. The retirement pin is presented at the retirement ceremony to signify membership in an elite organization of men and women that have served the United States Air Force and their country with pride, honor, and distinction in wartime and peace. We would now like to present Mrs. Johnson with the Certificate of Appreciation from the Chief of Staff, United States Air Force, and the Director of the Air National Guard. It reads, in grateful appreciation, the United States Air Force presents this certificate to Mrs. Rainey D. Johnson for the commitment and numerous contributions that made positive impacts to the nation's defense. Thank you for the support which gave strength and purpose to your spouse's service. Signed, General Charles Q. Brown, Chief of Staff, United States Air Force, and Brigadier General Michael T. Giroux, Commander, Air National Guard Readiness Center. We will now present the Certificate of Appreciation from the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force. It reads, on behalf of all Air Force airmen and their families, the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force presents the Certificate of Appreciation to Mrs. Rainey D. Johnson. I join your spouse, family, and friends in thanking you for the numerous contributions and sacrifices you made in support of our United States Air Force. Your dedication gave strength and purpose to your spouse's service and defense of our nation. Signed, Joanne S. Bass, Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force. Thank you, Lieutenant Martin and Mrs. Johnson. You may be seated. this time, we would like to invite Sergeant Johnson's children, Tamara, Alonzo, and Sage, to please come forward for a special presentation. It reads, recognizing Tamara, Alonzo, and Sage, your support of the United States by supporting me during my military service. Throughout all of the days that I had to leave TDY, leave for work early or late. Thank you for always being understanding. I thank God that you each are my children. Thank you, Tamara, Alonzo, and Sage. Colonel Gregory Lewis will now present Master Sergeant Johnson with an 821 line presentation.
So this is just a small appreciation for all the hard work you've done, not just for your crew, but also for the International Guard. You know, we can't say enough for the sacrifice that you've made so I had to make this endeavor, make all 24 years amazing. So on behalf of the division, I'd say thank you and Godspeed on your next year.
Thank you, Colonel Lewis. Mr. Timothy Kilvin will now present Master Sergeant Johnson with an ATC Systems branch presentation.
After the branch, just wanted to get you a little something. Say thanks for all of your hard work and dedication over the last 5 years. Really appreciate it. And also just want to wish you and your family all the best. Continue this next journey in life.
Thank you, Mr. Kilvin. Kilvin, I am so sorry. Thank you, Mr. Myself and Senior Master Sergeant Hubbard will now present Master Sergeant Johnson something from the Big Tent. You can come on. Oh, okay. So Sergeant Johnson was a part of something called the think tank, and Lieutenant Martin brought it up in his speech. So just to give you guys a little bit of background, Sergeant Johnson has, probably since he's been in the military, but especially since I've known him, he has always been about equal, fair rights for everybody. So one thing, you know, there are a lot of stuff going on in our country. Sergeant Johnson has always been passionate about exactly where he works at the Media Work Center. And I still remember one day he came to me. Mind you, I had only had chief on for like a week, I think. And he came to me and he was like, Chief Q, all this stuff is happening, and what are we doing about it? We're all leaders, we're all senior MCOs, what are we gonna do? And I was like, you know what, Johnson, this, we sat there, we brainstormed, and we talked about what needed to happen, and we made it happen. And I think that's one thing that I appreciate about Sergeant Johnson, because if he sees a problem, he's gonna attack it, he's gonna get involved. So he's not the type of person to bring problems to you, he wants to be a part of the solution, and I definitely think you did that. So that conversation we had probably about a year ago, and I mean, we had many before that, because Johnson has always been about, making sure things are fair and standard for everybody. So just that conversation that we had, it led to a lot of great things. He was able to get promotions changed. He was able to get standardized feedback forms. He was able to create a career enhancement program. And these are things that's going to affect us long after he leaves this building. And the one thing that's unique about it, everybody in this room has heard Johnson say, I'm Reg. We know he's Reg. So the thing that makes it so great, he is not going to benefit from anything he did with those 3 programs. Because 1, he's retiring, and 2, he's Reg. So I think that's what makes it so phenomenal. The fact that you sacrifice yourself and your time and your efforts to do something for an organization, and it's not going to benefit you at all. So with the gift that we gave him, I got to read, I got some reading material. So the gift that we gave him, there are 3 people in that picture: Medgar Evers, Whitney Young, and Ralph Abernathy. So these 3 men were prior military. They were prior military, so they served in World War II and the Korean War. The great thing about these men is after they served in the military, they went to fight for civil rights. So Medgar Evers, little known by people, he was the first civil rights activist that was assassinated in 1963. But one of the quotes that Medgar Evers said was, "Freedom has never been free. I love my children, I love my wife with all my heart, and I would die gladly if that would make a better life for them." And when we read that, we was like, that's Sergeant Johnson. At the end of the day, he would sacrifice, as much as he loves his family and his country, he would sacrifice to make things better for everybody. So we put 3 quotes on there from 3 different leaders, and we just thought that was fitting, because we know after you take up the uniform, you are going to continue to lead your country, you're going to continue to lead your community, you're going to continue to lead your family. So I thank you for absolutely everything that you've done. We've had some great talks. We talked about a lot of stuff, but thank you for not just charging me for doing something, but you always stood right next to me. So I'm really going to miss you. So yeah, I really hate to see you go, Johnson. So thank you for everything that you've done. And then, so the other thing is we also have some flowers for your wife. Just because Sean Johnson and I was sitting on the phone for hours and work things and it's just like, I know that your family sacrifices a lot when you're so dedicated to your job and when you're so dedicated to making things better. So we really just wanted to say thank you for loaning him to us, and we might still need him for a little while, but thank you for letting us have him, and then we just want to present these to you. And this is on behalf of him. Robert wanted to say something, but he thinks he's gonna cry. That's a little dog.
Hey, Robert. Oh, picture.
Oh, come on, Robert. Oh, you want me to come up here? Yes. Oh, snap. Thank you, Chief Q. And sorry. Senior Master Sergeant Hubbard will now present Master Sergeant Johnson with a shadow box.
Yes, it's the end, supervisor here for the last 3.5 years, not the full 5, about 3.5, 4 years. It's been good. It's been a good journey. We talked about a lot. We agreed on a lot, we disagreed on a lot. But we always came to some kind of consensus that was a good way forward. And I miss that about it. I miss that we can agree to disagree and it not lead to a breakdown in a relationship. I think that's the biggest thing I take away. So that's a momentum you have to work. That's something good. I guess put in your man cave and your wife and your kids and your family can look back and see great things you've done.
Thank you, Sergeant Hubbard. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to present to you for the first time, Master Sergeant Robert A. Johnson III, United States Air Force, retired.
I'm gonna look at some notes, but it's not much on my notes, to be honest. First, I want to thank everybody for being here. Those that are online, as well as everybody in the room. I really appreciate you all. I think for most of everybody I've had some conversation with or work with you in some capacity, and it was a pleasure working with you, working for you, and I really appreciate that time. I want to thank everybody that had a part in putting their hands and helping the ceremony come together. I'm not calling you Sergeant Hubbard anymore. I'm calling you Chief because you should. To me, the way you operate is in a function of the chief. For any chief that I've ever been with, whether it's REGAF experience, I say REGAF, or here in the hands of your seat, you operate at that level. And I appreciate you for who you are and why you were a good supervisor. You're great with and how you did work-wise. You've been a better friend than that and all of those things. So I really appreciate it. Chief Q, thank you for agreeing to MC. I really appreciate you, all the words that you shared about me. I appreciate the kind words. It was a pleasure serving with you to help serve people here in the NGSC. And you're right, it didn't start with the think tank. We used to have many conversations before, but it was always geared around people and how we could be a better organization. I truly appreciate you. Sergeant Allen, I really thank you again, Crawford. I didn't even ask him. I think he was just around. He was like, "Hey, I'll do it." I just kind of show you how he is. And I think if it's anybody, he would have known. He would have did it for him. And I really appreciate you. One thing I appreciate about Sergeant Allen is that if you know him and you have a conversation with him, it's going to be tough to have just a surface level conversation with him. He has a soul type of conversation with you. He dig a little deeper. And I don't think he even realizes how much he does that, but I appreciate you for doing that. Senator Martin, you just told about everything. First, I want to thank you for giving me practice. And you see my son's here. I cut his hair. So thank you for giving me practice early on how to do a fade. How I went with the haircut was
He wanted to fade, and I said, I only do even cuts. He was like, no, you can do it. And he was just not gonna make it, he just kept saying, no, you can do it, you can do it. As it get higher and higher, like, it's not turning out. And now you can do it, you can do it. And so by the end, it was people telling me I need to pay him for me cutting his hair. But I really appreciate you. I wish we had a safety board and I could show them from the cane and stuff that you do once well. I'm sorry. Nah, he just told everything. I wouldn't even go say nothing about none of this stuff. But since you said it, no, I really appreciate you for taking part and agreeing to officiate our this ceremony for us. What I would say about you is, you know, you tackle tasks that come your way, and you're a pretty modest individual, but to see how your career was, as you see, he's sitting in the rank of the second lieutenant, but what you may not know was he actually had a line number for a senior master sergeant, and he decided to go OTS. But what that should really tell you more about him is that he's up for challenges, and I know you like to try to act like you want to be in the background, but as you notice, that just does not work. You know, you like a challenge, and so as you go forward in your career, I know you have certain things in mind, but I just encourage you through those challenges to not run away from them. I don't think you will, but just remember that, you know, you're not going to be happy if you don't have that challenge. I know you, so I really appreciate it. I appreciate your wife as well for coming and all the help you definitely gave me. She helped me a great deal with me and writing my first book that I wrote and I released a couple of weeks ago, a 30-day devotional. And she helped me with consultation. She's an author herself, and as well as helping me with some content creation as well for a lot of social media. Because I was not on social media at all, and I was advised by a good team and said, hey, you need to get on social media. So I really thank you for both of you. And again, thanks for coming in and appreciate it. Now, first, I do want to thank my family. A lot of my family is online. I want to thank. I'm thankful for the fact that they all were there for me. And it's really when you start reflecting that you notice, start thinking about everything that they did. And again, just so appreciative of my family. I also want to thank my father. I grew up in a single parent household, but my father was there in some part. But I'm thankful for the relationship we have today, and that's growing in our relationship. And it's been I've been very appreciative of the fact that, you know, we've been able to grow in a relationship, and I get to know him get to know me as well. So I want to thank him. Again, all my aunts and uncles on both sides of my family. It's, again, a very big family. Even those that have passed away, they've taught me a great deal from. My grandfather taking me to get my first haircut. For some reason, I remember that. I have another, my grandmother, I'm seeing her having a prayer group at her house, remembering that. My other grandmother from being married, when I asked her for $1, I'll give you an example of what my grandmother did. My grandmother, I remember I came in the house and she used to have a fish fry on Fridays. Every Friday they have a fish fry. And I remember I came in the house and I was standing up at the house, and she always had hot water cornbread. And I said, Grandma, I don't want no hot water cornbread. I want some Jiffy Mix. And she was like, you know, Jiffy Mix your way up out of here. And I went outside, I was playing, and I came in the house with some Jiffy Mix just for me on the stove. And so I was, you know, it's little stuff like that my grandmother would do. I asked for $1, she'd give me $1 or whatever the stove. So little stuff like that. My grandfather, this is all on my father's side, but my grandfather, one thing he taught me before I came in the military, I remember he knew I was coming in, and he's a military veteran and also a retired police officer. He was just looking at me like, you retired? He said, yeah, when you retire, he said, you not retired. He said, when you get in the military, you make sure you look at that captain right in their bars. So you look right in those bars. and you salute them. No matter what it is, just make sure you give them the respect, you look at those bars. And I learned two things. One, he had some kind of issue with the cap or something. And then the other thing I learned was really the words within the words was he was telling me to respect everybody, to respect no matter who the person is that they give their life to, or they're offering their life to serve their country. And no matter who it was, that was whether enlisted or officer, that they were choosing to serve their country and respect them as a person no matter what. And then it just took it further after that, just everybody respect each person as a person. I want to thank my brother, and I don't know if we can view it or not online because I know it had cut out. But my brother, he's my younger brother. I'm really proud of him, just of how resilient he is. He calls himself, now he'll say this, he'll say, I'm a hustler. He'll say, I guess, I need to stop using that word. He said, nah, forget it. I'm just a hustler, man. That's just what I am. So my brother works in renewable energies, and he also works in, he does some work in real estate, where he'll have rental properties, flip a house, things of that nature. And this is how so much of a hustler he is. I remember when we was younger, I remember the box. Some of y'all maybe used to watch the show The Box, is where videos where you can you have to order videos, and the show it you by your phone. So videos would come on, videos of music videos would come on. And I mean, he's just sitting in a room and watch The Box all the time. So I remember I came in one time and he was like, man, they just playing this. He said, I bet you they play this next. Well, how you know what's gonna play next? He said, I bet you $5 they play this next. Okay, whatever, man. They ain't gonna play that next. And sure enough, they played it next, whatever this next video he was talking about. And then he was like, nah, man, I ain't gonna take your money because I knew it's a double play. So every time they play that other video, the next one come on. I said, man. But that's how he used to do though. We had a great time growing up. We learned about family in itself, and I really appreciate it. And hopefully, I don't know if hopefully he's able to view it. I had something that I had sent for him. What I wanted to do was, I believe that all of the sports teams got something from the military where they swear their name on their jersey. I believe they got it from us wearing our uniform with our name on it. And so what I did was I sent him a blouse of mine, an ADU, a game worn jersey, and I signed it and put it in case form. And I given to him that I wanted to present that to him. So hopefully my mom's able to do that. I know y'all gonna steal my ideas, all y'all in here after that, and that's all right. And so the other thing, I thank my mom too. My mom I couldn't have asked for a better mom. Even though growing up in the household I did, my mom, she never once said anything bad about anybody, including my father. She never said anything bad about him. She just did her best, and she just tried to do her part. She didn't try to take the place of my father. She just tried to be the best mom she could be. And I couldn't ask for anything more than her doing that. I'm just so thankful for having the mother I have. And one thing that I really learned from her is resiliency. And I add another thing is I add that change, because over the years, she continued to change in her relationship with God. You can just see her changing. I really just appreciate her and everything that she does for me, my family, and my children as well. And my family would include my children and my wife, of course, but she loves talking to the kids when she gets a chance to. I guess she don't like talking to me and my wife. So she said, oh, they kind of cute. I know how y'all grandparents is. That's the kid to forget about us. So I'm really thankful for that. I want to thank my kids. They sacrifice a lot. I have something I want to actually give them as well. As y'all said, y'all like me bringing home gifts. So I just so happen to have a gift for y'all. So they've given a lot, and so I want to make sure that they had a gift or something I had thought, and my wife and I said, yeah, let's give them that. So they'll enjoy it. I'm sure they will. They might already look at the bag, but they will enjoy it. I do have something for my wife as well. So before you pull that out, 1 second. So my wife, as Lieutenant Martin said, we met in tech school, and my wife, when we were in Alaska and our daughter was born, we had some small conversation, but she just said, you know, hey, I really want to stay home with the kids, and I was thankful in the aspect that I said was, you know, I knew this was kind of going to come up, and our budget says you can, so I was thankful that our budget said she could, and since then, she's been a great homemaker, and I would say probably busier than me at work. I just want to thank her for her 11 years of service she gave in the military. And in doing that, you know, we didn't have any type of ceremony or anything. And she even said yesterday, you know, I wish I was still there. We'll be retiring together because we kind of thought about doing a double retire. And so I have something for you that will kind of culminate that. And so I kind of explained this. What I put in here is kind of part for service and their service to my family and our family. And so I have a picture. I have some pictures and posts here in the bottom where one's with where we just have Tamara, then another one was our other picture with Alonzo and Tamara, and then this is our most recent picture. And up here, what I have is this is a napkin, and this napkin is from when we were supposed to get married. We were supposed to get married April 12, 2003. And what happened, today is April 12th. This is why I really wanted the ceremony on this day. She kept asking me, why I gotta be now? The kids was in school last week, but now she gonna tell me sorry when we get home. She gonna cry when she get in the car. She's gonna cry right now. But what I wanna say is to this, on this date, when we're supposed to get married, what happened was, I deployed to Iraq previous to that, but I had a date to be separated on May of 2003. And I didn't re-enlist because we were getting married on this date. And I didn't want to have retainability so that the Air Force would send me to another base and I have to fight it to get twin spouse. But I had an actual commander that tried to blackmail me, right? We didn't know what it was at the time. I just thought, oh, I'm just somebody over me is just telling me what I need to do. What he basically wanted me to do was re-enlist. And I said, I'm not re-enlisting because I waited until I get married beforehand. What happened was I got basic preference to the base where she was at. This is how God worked in our lives. To McGuire, the chief called me, but before that, the chief had a meeting with me and said, the commander wants you to re-enlist. He said he's not signing your re-enlistment papers if you try to re-enlist after we go to Iraq, after we deploy. And I said, well, I'm not doing it. I'm going to wait until I get married. If he don't sign it, so be it. And basically for me, what it was this. He said, we just don't want you to ruin your career. And I said, well, this is how I view it. I have my career, which is here, and I have a lifetime with my wife that I know God has given me. Which one you think I'm gonna choose? And I just asked them like that, and they stopped asking me anything after that. But as you see now, my career is over with. I continue with a lifetime of my wife. But this is what I have for you. And have one more thing for you. So I'm not going to explain this, but as one of our friends say that oh, I said one guy he did a cookie. I'm not going to over talk it. I'm just going to give it to you. All right, so Well, I'm at GQ, I'm at 45 minutes in. So I'm gonna talk 45 minutes, I said an hour. So I'm just about done, I'm closing, you know, I preach, so that might be a lot, but it's not a lot. So I do want to say, again, thank you for everybody that's here. By that date though, that date made me understand that while I thought April 12, 2003 would be a significant date, it just shows you that sometimes what we think is going to be a date or think is going to happen might not happen the way we thought it was. I always think about Ecclesiastes 3, where there's a time and a season for everything. And I just understand that it is a time and season for everything for me. That's been my career. That's how it's been. I've just been thankful, so thankful over 24 years. It's a long time. Before here, we stopped at Chick-fil-A. And this guy was there. And I said, how old are you? He's 22. I felt so old. I said, man, I said, that, you know, we're talking about, you know, nonetheless, that's a long time, 24 years. But I'm so thankful for the time that I've had, that I've been in. It's been a pleasure. Everybody I've met, everybody I supervised, you know, being Sergeant Hubbard, you know, thank you for being such a great supervisor. And in my career, though, it's in 24 years, I was thinking about it, and I've had 3 supervisors that look like me, 24 years, and 2 were here. So, you know, it just shows you that, people experiences are just a little different sometimes. And it's not, I think each of my supervisors did really good. I got one from Alaska. He would just write awards up on me, and I didn't even know it. But it's because he felt like I deserved it. And that's actually where I won probably the most awards. He just kept writing. He made me realize some things. He like, what you do voluntarily, that's not normal. So you need to start including some of this on your EPRs, okay, or your packages. So it's things like that that I've been able to learn as I got older. I'm just so overwhelmed with today. I don't think I was nervous at all. My wife said I was just sweating though. I wasn't nervous. It's hot up here, you know, you go on base, you know, somebody asked me, they turn the AC on, like, you know, they'll turn the AC on to like June on the base somewhere. And so, you know, I'm so overwhelmed. Thank you for my branch as well, the Y branch. Thanks for presentations and everything. Mr. Killen, it's been great working with you. I remember when we sit down years ago when I got hired with Mr. Duke, and so I really appreciate it. Just so thankful for, again, being here for this day, and again, for everybody being here, celebrating with me and with us as we culminate. A little bit of what's next. I had gotten an offer and accepted the job with Verizon, so that's what's next for me. I'm going to start later this month and take a few weeks off. Not really doing honey to do the things that I've been putting off for like some time. But I wish I could say going to Hawaii with the kids got school. Your Hawaii in that bag right there. I can take it back. No, but again, I really appreciate you all, and yeah, I guess that's it. If I was able to pick this up, I'd drop the mic. But that's it.
Thank you, Master Sergeant Johnson. Master Sergeant Johnson, the men and women of the United States Air Force and the Air National Guard are proud to have served with you. Your knowledge, wisdom, dedication, and friendship will sorely be missed. We wish you well as you begin this new chapter in your life. Please join us in congratulating Master Sergeant Johnson and his family for their many contributions to the defense of our country I am terribly sorry. I'm off track. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the playing of the Air Force song and the departure of the official party. This concludes today's ceremony. Thank you for attending and have a wonderful day. Sorry.